Good evening and welcome to tonight's news bulletin. It is on the 21st of November 2025. I am Samuel Kirito,
Nashipa Yitini,
bringing you the top stories making headlines here in Kenya and beyond. Coming up tonight, justice in motion as the High Court issues an arrest warrant for a former British soldier over the murder of Agnes Wanjiru.
Kenya urges the European Union to intensify the war against Al-Shabaab. And the new wildlife trafficking case raises question about enforcement.
We'll also take a later turn into a soft news segment, from a mortician's viral TikTok confession
to Uber new safari service parking debate.
And the rise of a young swimming sensation making Kenya proud.
In business, Safaricom Power Apps M-Pesa.
Kenya pushes for a major trade deal with the US, and counties battle the rising wage bills despite the record revenues.
And in sports, Kenya shines again on the world stage with major marathon and athletics victories. Stay tuned, we'll begin on tonight's top stories.
Good evening. Our first story tonight. The Kenya High Court has issued an arrest warrant for a former British soldier in connection to the 2012 killing of Agnes Wanjiru. The case has stirred strong public interest over the allegation of misconduct and demands for justice. Getting more news from our reporter, Himbo Philip.
I'm here in Nairobi, where the High Court has formalized the warrant for Robert James Parkes, accused of the murder of Agnes Wanjiru, whose body was found in a septic tank near British Army base in Nanyuki. This development comes after renewed investigations, and the Kenyan government is seeking his extradition from the United Kingdom.
Justice for Agnes Wanjiru. We are not a British.
The Wanjiru family has welcomed this as a long overdue, though questions remain about the timeline and legal processes ahead.
Cannot wait until January 2026. It has been over 10 years since the incident occurred on 31st of March 2012. The victims are still anxiously waiting for justice to be done to their kin. Thus, all the state actors in Kenya, including the court, must dedicate efforts towards the expeditious disposal of this matter.
Authorities say that the next court mention is scheduled for later this month. Otieno Hiba, The Sixth Sense, Nairobi.
In regional security news, Kenya has called on the incoming presidency of the European Union to make the fight against Al-Shabaab a top priority. Officials warned that fading international focus could undo hard again in Somalia and the border areas. More of this from our reporter, Osman Lakau.
Speaking in Nairobi, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi emphasized recent success against Al-Shabaab risk being reversed in international support wins. Kenya is urging the EU, especially as Cyprus prepares to assume the EU Council presidency in early 2026, to reaffirm commitments, financial, intelligence, logistical, to counter terror operations.
It's not the Constitution of Kenya that applies. You enter a sovereign state with different regulations and different laws. My prayer is that
security analysts say that while Kenyans have made considerable strides, particularly in cooperation with Somalia and regional forces, sustaining momentum will require more stable foreign backing and stronger border security. Austin Macau reporting from Nairobi.
And now to wildlife and conservation. A Kenyan court has charged a man for raiding rhino horn more than a decade after he was convicted for ivory smuggling. The case highlights the ongoing challenges in wildlife trafficking enforcement. And let's get more please from our reporter, Wesley.
The court in Mombasa has charged Faisal Mohammed Ali along with co-accused Mohammed Hassan with illegal trade in two rhino horns valued at about 8.2 million Kenya shillings. Ali had previously been convicted for involvement in ivory smuggling from 120 elephants, but was previously released on appeal after just 2 years due to procedural flaws. Prosecutors say this new charge signals that wildlife crimes will not escape scrutiny even after past controversies and may serve to deter will-be traffickers.
Rhinos being poached at the beginning of your term. Today, we had none, zero up to last year. So we have major improvement in anti-poaching program, and this national census has a major milestone and historic. It's the first time the government is doing the count. Gabon has done exactly what we have done today. The numbers that you had 2 years ago of 1,400 rhinos we have, today we have 1,700 rhinos. So
However, NGOs warn that more resources are needed and stricter oversight is required to strengthen corruption and take prosecution. Wesley Kumu reporting for the Sixth Sense News.
In later news, a Kenyan TikTok mortician, Anne Mangandi, has offered up the most heart-wrenching parts of her work. Her emotional video has struck a chord with viewers across social media. Our reporter Wycliffe Njoki has more on this.
The video released by Mwangangi shows her speaking candidly moments about when she cares for the deceased, particularly those who died alone or whose family cannot be present. She says the hardest part is handling the grief of those who left behind, especially who got to say goodbye.
There's something called the SOPs in every department, the standard operating procedures. So people come from everywhere. People come from abroad, that is repatriation of bodies.
Okay.
People come from other mortuaries, transfers. People come from...
The clip has gone viral, with many commenting on her passion, calling for greater recognition of people working in mortuary services. Some also point out the mental health burden such jobs can bring and are urging better counseling and support for workers. Wycliffe Njoki reporting for the Sixth Sense.
A new twist in Kenya's wildlife tourism. Uber has launched Uber Safari on Nairobi National Park, and while many hail the inconvenience, others fear it could lead to over-tourism and harm conservation efforts. Getting more from our reporter, Hiba Fuli.
The ride-hailing company has announced the service that allows tourists to book wildlife drives via its app in partnership with the Kenya Wildlife Service. Local tour operators are welcoming more visitors but worry that high volumes could strain parks and reduce overall quality of experience. Conservationists also caution that safari tourism risks becoming more about selfies than safety or wildlife welfare. Policymakers are being urged to set clear regulations and safeguard measures to ensure sustainability. Otieno Hiba, The Sixth Sense.
And finally, a profile in talent. Alina Baha, a young swimmer from Kenya, has scored international artisanal performances. She's been dubbed one to watch for future. Austin Makau gives us more on this.
Ariana, only in her late teens, has already broken several national junior records, particularly in backstroke and butterfly. She recently competed in international meets, impressing coaches with their technique, discipline, and mental toughness. Despite limited training resources, she says her ambition is to present Kenya in the Olympics, and she hopes that better funding and facilities will follow her success. Ariana's story is resonating, especially among young Kenyans in sports and those interested beyond usual tracks. Austin Makau, reporting for the Sixth Sense, Nairobi.
Turning to business news, Safaricom has announced a major upgrade to its M-Pesa mobile money transfer platform, expanding its transaction processing capacity to 6,000 transactions per second. This is seen as yet the biggest upgrade since the year 2015. Let's get more of this from our reporter in Nairobi, Wesley Kumu.
The upgrade comes amid growing demand for mobile money services in Kenya, especially after recent banking challenges and increased demand for cashless payments.
We look at access and inclusion in three ways. So we say you have to have a network. Yeah. So the infrastructure has to be there. We have already put that infrastructure. Yeah. And we can continue to expand it. We can include, even in future, we'll include satellite and other stuff. But that...
Safaricom says the expansion will reduce delays, improve reliability, and accommodate future growth, especially for high-volume transactions. Industry watchers believe this move could pressure competitors. Wesley Kumu, Sixth Sense News.
Kenya is pushing to conclude a trade agreement with the United States by the end of this year. According to the Trade Cabinet Secretary, if successful, it could provide a cushion for Kenya exports in the critical market. Our reporter Wycliffe Njoki has more on this.
Trade CS says negotiations are underway to secure terms that would benefit Kenyan agriculture, textile and manufacturing sectors.
The new trade deal, our Minister for Trade has been here. They've met with the trade representative and we've made good progress. Indications are that before the end of this year, we should sign off a trade deal with the US.
Kenyan exporters hope that reduced tariff or improved market access will boost foreign exchange earnings. However, some stakeholders warn that Kenya must ensure non-tariff barriers do not undermine potential gains. Meanwhile, trade urge complementary investments in quality control, logistics, and standards so Kenya can meet US import requirements. Reporting for the Sixth Sense, Wycliffe Njoki.
And now in fiscal news, counties in Kenya have seen their own revenue increase by 63% to 67.3 billion Kenyan shillings, but many are struggling under the weight of the health sector weight bills, which are consuming large portions of our county budgets. Let's get more of this from our reporter Hiba Philip.
The increase in the local revenue is being hailed as a positive development for decentralized governance, but country officials say that nearly half of the total wage bills go towards paying health workers, leaving less for infrastructure, services, and development.
There are those various promises that we made to our people, and we are still continuing now to implement them. The department that has taken the right.
Some countries are calling for more support from the national government, adjustments in healthcare staffing plans, and better budgeting practicing to avoid financial strain. Otieno Hiba, The Sixth Sense.
To fund them. So,
in now to sports, Kenya celebrated a double victory at Malin Marathon as Sebastian Sawe and Rosemary Wanjiru won the men's and women's races respectively. Our reporter Austin Macau gives us more on this.
Sebastian Sawe crossed the finish line in the men's elite race, clocking about 2 hours, 2 minutes and 16 seconds is that marathon attempt. Meanwhile, Rosemary Wanjiru dominated in the women's divisions. Both runners faced with warm running conditions but managed strong performance. The double win underlines Kenya's continued dominance in long-distance running and has drawn praise from President Ruto, who called the victories a source of national pride. Austin Macau reporting from The Sixth Sense.
And now in athletics, Lilian Odira of Kenya has claimed gold in the women's 800 meters at the World Championship in Tokyo, breaking the championship record and upsetting very strong competition. More of this from our reporter, Wesley Komu.
Odira raced a smart, aggressive heat and final, overtaking favorites Kelly Hodgkinson and Mary Mora. Her time was a championship record, narrowly beating previous mark. This marks Kenya's 7th gold at the championships, reinforcing the strength of the national middle distance squad. Sports analysts believe this could inspire younger athletes in underrepresented events, especially as Kenya continues to diversify its athletic success beyond the longer distances. Ms. Likumu, Sixth Sense News.
Still in sports, Emmanuel Wanyonyi has picked up gold in the men's 800 meters at the World Athletic Champions in Tokyo, holding off close competition to bring home the title. Our reporter Wycliffe Njoki gives us more on this.
Wanyonyi of Kenya ran a championship record race, fending off challenges from Jan Sijati and others.
I told myself, let me try to run fast. If I want to win this race, I want to run in front, convert the base. That's why I decided to go in front, then to convert the base out of the finish line.
Observer says his claim strategy in the final stretch was key, This is another major win for Kenya in the 800 meters, continuing a trend of excellence in track middle distance events. He dedicated the win to his training team and family.
Wanyonyi says he will continue supporting and motivating young athletes back at home. Reporting for the Sixth Sense, Wycliffe Njoki.
That's all we had for tonight for you in our news tonight, covering Kenya's top stories in hard news, business, sport, and lifestyle.
Thank you for staying tuned, for being part of our audience.
And Summit Kiripo.
Nashipai Otieno, wishing you peace and positivity. Until next time, living with the saying, imagination is more important than knowledge.
Have a lovely night.